Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Boozer with CUGC HQ, and I'm very happy to welcome you to today's Connect webinar with Liquit. We haven't had a webinar with Liquit before, so I'm excited to welcome them to our webinar stage. So very excited to hear what they have to say today and see their product. Before we get into that, just wanted to let you take a look at all the events that we have coming up. As you can see, we've got 3 local group events going on today. Actually, it looks like 4, but 2 of them are combined. And then we've got lots of virtual events coming up. We've got 2 webinars next week. The Geek Speak panel is next week. That is all about automation. If you know everything about automation, you don't need to be there. Just kidding, you should come. We've got a CTP panel that knows loads about automation, so come ask your questions. You can ask them anything, literally anything. All right, so I'm gonna get us going with this webinar today and stop talking about CUGC stuff. We're gonna talk about enhancing your Citrix experience with Liquit. And really quick, we've got some housekeeping details. We are recording today's presentation, and you will get a link to that. It's gonna come to you tomorrow in an email from GoToWebinar, so be on the lookout for that. Also, please type in your questions throughout the presentation. We'll get to some during the presentation, but we might save a lot of them for the end. It just kind of depends on what your question is and how things are going. So type them in as you have them so you don't forget. And finally, at the end, I'll have that short survey link for you. It's anonymous and for CUGC use only. So make sure you fill that out for us. All right, who do we have? We've got Bob Jansen from Liquit and Chuck Brady, he's the Vice President, and we also have Nico Zieck, the Director of Technology and Solutions. Hi guys, welcome to the webinar.
How you doing? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, welcome to it. And then also keeping an eye on all those questions and all your discussion that we're going to have today is James Rankin. James is a CTP. He's part of our UK CUGC group, and welcome, James.
Hello, thank you very much. It's glad to be on a webinar again, and I don't know whether I'm jumping the gun here a bit, but it'd be interesting to hear from Liquit because I must confess I'm not awfully familiar with their product, and as a CTP I should be slapped now because I'm supposed to be familiar with everything in the UC space, but this is my chance to learn all about it. And I'll turn my camera off in a second because my wife has promised to bring me some fajitas halfway through, so if I'm asking questions, I'll try not to have a mouthful of Mexican food while I'm doing so.
All right, thanks, James. I'm going to turn my camera off too. I'll be back at the end because I know some of you opted in for a chance to win a prize, so we'll talk about that more later. I'm going to hand things off right now, I think, to Chuck, right? I'm going to hand you the screen, and here it comes. There you go. All right.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, I can see it. Yep. Looks good.
All righty. Now if I can only get this out of my way here. All right, so thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity, and we are very excited to be here. I am Chuck Brady, and let's see here. Here we go. Whoa, it's going crazy. All right, there we go. I'm Chuck Brady. I'm the Vice President here. I'm in charge of global development for Liquit. And with me are my colleagues, Bob Jansen, who is on our advisory board, and uniquely one of the founders of Res Software. We are delighted to have Bob join us here for some advising. So we're excited to have him here. And with me as well is my good friend Nico Zieck, the Director of Technology and Solutions. Nico is our ambassador of technology. So he's going to kind of show you a little bit about what the technology does and why it was developed. However, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subjects now, and that would be me and why I'm here. So I've had an interesting career that has kind of started at the intersection of installation and the enterprise. Started at InstallShield back in 2004 to kind of help them kind kind of come out, if you will, and kind of go past what they were, and that was just a small installation company. Was instrumental in helping to broaden the organization and sell it to Macrovision, where I helped lead several teams in the admin studio side. For some of you who don't remember Macrovision, that company divested and sold the license management and admin studio side, and which is now Flexera. So I worked there for 4 years and had an opportunity to move into a company headquartered in the UK with some people I knew from the industry, who started a company which was really based on application compatibility called AppDNA. And we started out from zero and grew that company up to almost $30 million until Citrix purchased the company back in 2011, but it was official in 2012. Stayed on there for a little while, but then was able to do some consulting and of other companies, software companies and startups and things like that. But really what attracted me to this side of the market is the applications. And yes, right now, Windows 10 is the thing, but remember back in the day when there was XP, and then there was this little thing called Vista, which never really kicked off. But then we came upon Windows 7. And the issue there was that, and many of you know this, being able to move from one release of the operating system to the other was a real pain. And especially for an enterprise with 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 applications. And it's really, the essence of why we do everything within IT, right? It's all about the apps. It's all about getting those applications to the users in a way that they will appreciate it, consume it, whatever, right? But compatibility is always an issue, especially now. I mean, an icon, an application is very complex. It has a lot of moving parts when it comes to printers, when it comes to files, remote storage, anything that you can conceive that application needs to run on. That is truly an issue when it comes to getting the applications to the users. And one compatibility issue could potentially have issues that are somewhat catastrophic. We started with the setup exe. We kind of moved into more of the MSI, and then when MSI came out, it was outstanding. But then there was app virtualization. Being able to virtualize an app was an amazing thing. But now we have MSIX App Attach, which now we can virtualize the app in a virtualized desktop. So, but this adds so many other complexities. And really, what's next, right? What if you can't virtualize, or what if you can't convert an application to an MSIX? What if you can't get an application to virtualize and deliver it to so many different operating systems and devices? What if you have so many different technologies that you're trying to implement? So you see, we have a multitude of configurations, we have a multitude of applications, we have a multitude of setups that really kind of complicate and make this such a complex animal, right? So what do we have? We have silos. We have devices, we have applications, and we have many different platforms, if you will, each having their own respective capabilities, applications, whether you're running applications in Citrix via XenApp on an on-premise way with a virtual desktop, or if you've got applications running in the cloud or SaaS, whatever it is, you've got applications scattered everywhere in all these different platforms. And really, you have users that are trying to access those applications from multiple devices. So it's never been more complex, is my point, and a long way to get to it. But it's never been more complex than now. So why do I talk about all this? Liquit. Liquit brings it all together. So what Liquit is it can take an application from setup all the way through to delivering that application to any or every device. Those applications could be running on every platform, and every user gets access to every application that they're capable of accessing. We aggregate the applications from those myriad of different platforms into Liquit and then deliver those to a workspace. Now that workspace can be literally anything. And what I mean by that is we have our own agent. It's like a 1.3 megabyte agent that runs on a device. You can access all of your applications. It's fully customizable, and it runs pretty much on anything. In addition to that, though, we have customers that are standardizing on, let's say, Microsoft Teams. We can literally use Teams as the workspace and provision those applications to the application section within Teams. We also have a app store, a setup store, where we have over 3,000 titles that are accessible. And the uniqueness about that, and Nico will go into that in a minute, is the fact that we store all the parameters within Liquit so that the user, all they need to really do is request an application. If they're already authorized to it, you don't even have to go through an approval process. If not, we have the approval process and workflow all in one within Liquit. And that application doesn't need to be packaged once it's packaged once. So interestingly enough, we make it much easier on IT as well. But we can provision those applications even in a SharePoint, in a corporate intranet, a third-party portal, even the Windows Start menu as a workspace. So interestingly, Liquit helps provision applications, but we also help with the setup, with the packaging to make it much easier to deliver those applications. Again, every application, every platform, every device for every user. From that, there's the interface, the Liquit Agent. So with that, you know, any environment that you have, whether it's on-prem, SaaS, or cloud, even natively installed applications, we have what we call smart icons. Nico will go into that in a minute, but what it does is, to the user, it looks like a typical icon. However, behind the scenes, we can create different contexts for users depending on what machine they're on, what device, what location they're where they're at, you know, how much memory they have available, things like that, that are really based on the context. Will deliver those or provision those applications to, you know, one minute I'm on my laptop in the office behind the firewall connected to Ethernet. The next minute, close my laptop, I'm headed out the door to my phone, and I need to access applications while I'm you know, on my cellular in the train going home. But to the user, it's transparent. It really doesn't matter where that application is being provisioned, how it's being provisioned, or whatever. The point is they get the application when they need it, wherever they are. So that's Liquit. And with that, I'll send it over to Nico, who can take it from here.
Yeah, if I can have the presenter screen, please. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome.
Yeah, show my screen. Here we go. So I'll go one slide back. Well, thank you very much for the intro, Chuck. Did you know, by the way, everybody, 3 out of the 4 speakers on the automation community event are even Liquit fans. So if you have any questions, if you don't trust us, please ask them, of course. With that said, Chuck did a cool introduction, I guess. I'll introduce myself first. Well, my name is Nico Zieck. I live in the Netherlands, hence the strange accent, of course. Feel free to follow me on Twitter or follow, of course, our company on LinkedIn. So that marketing stuff out of the way, what are we doing here? I'll start off with a couple of slides before I dive into Liquid. And I want to ask you, if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know at any time, because I can do everything live, perhaps. I want to try it at least. I like what I do. What are we doing at Liquid? Well, basically, it all starts with this: shift happens. Every 3 to 5 years, we start a new project. We call out the new workspace, the model workspace, workspace 2.0, whatever. And that is a major project. And we're going to replace everything we currently have into something new. And well, a couple of years ago, everybody was trying to get on VDI. And now basically see a lot of companies moving back from 100% VDI into a new hybrid environment, which can be Microsoft 365 with local devices, or cloud services like Citrix from the cloud, or WVD from the cloud. Basically, it's a mix. But what is holding us back from doing all that? Well, basically, we make things so complex inside the environment to tie it all together that if you want to change one little bit in our environment, the whole thing goes down, at least for the end users. The end users don't understand it. So we wait and we wait and we wait. And finally, we come to that day that the hardware is written off, the software licenses are out of date, or we just need to replace a Windows version. Then you get that big project. And basically, then is when shit happens. One major big project, we need to change everything right here now, and right here and right now. We put stress on our IT department, of course, and we put also stress on the end users with a lot of service desk tickets and a lot of changes. That's something at Liquid we want to change. This is what Microsoft is saying. I think as everybody is aware and known of this slide, so I'll skip that one. Let's look at what Gartner is saying, and I think this is quite interesting. I highlighted it in black. It's anywhere operations. Of course, everybody is working from home or mobile work styles these days due to COVID and all the other stuff. And I see a lot of companies saying, well, we're going to scale down on our offices. We even talked to a major one in London a couple of hours ago. And so we're going to scale down on our offices. So bring your own device, choose your own device, or work from anywhere on the front end is pretty known by now. And it's also what you can do greatly on Citrix. What we also see, and what also Gartner is saying, that it's going to be a shift, a transition into the cloud. And into the cloud is now only probably one single cloud. It can be Amazon or Google or, of course, Microsoft. But in the near future, Gartner is saying that it's going to be multiple clouds, anywhere operations. So your backend services will be running inside your own data centers, in the cloud, and inside multiple clouds. Probably it's going to be a price race to the bottom, and the last one will stand. That said, you need a system that can manage it all, that can deliver all those technologies. And that's what Liquid is bringing in. We want to make things easy and extremely flexible. So first, to get a better understanding what we do, I'll put it down in traditional techniques first. We are a deployment solution. So we can create your golden image on Citrix. We can create your laptop image, a thin client image. We can create a VMware image if you like. We can also create cloud images on Windows Virtual Desktop, Citrix from the cloud, Amazon Workspaces, AppStream 2.0, even Ali Cloud if you like. We do the workspace management. So we manage all the settings in your workspace, on your local endpoint, but also inside your virtual environments, all coming from one system. We do app delivery and app maintenance. So we do application lifecycle management. So we deploy any application on any platform. We deliver classic applications and the most modern ones, just like MSIX, App Attach, or layered apps, or whatever you want to use, all in the mix. We can extend it also to the cloud. We have an access management solution, so we can do the single sign-on. We are a portal-driven workspace, which can all run in any platform as Chuck just described. So it can be in our own interface, in the start menu, on a desktop, or in SharePoint, or in Microsoft Teams, or in ServiceNow, or whatever you want to use as a workspace. And this is pretty useful because there is a big need for communication these days. So the communication HR departments will set up a cool intranet system. That cool intranet system will consist, of course, of KPIs and everything you want to work with, just like Citrix Workspace. But then one thing they lack is the flexibility to deliver applications inside of that. So now the second path is, of course, the IT department, which needs to deliver and maintain all the applications for the company. It's not systems, so Citrix is a system, but you want to deliver applications, more specifically the data inside that application. We can tie that all together, but the IT department can do their own thing without hurting the communication department. They can also do their own thing. We can aggregate that into one single cool interface. I will show that live later. And why is that so useful? Well, if you look what the end users typically do, I took two personas, which basically will show you a typical work environment. On the left-hand side, the non-tech native persons, and on the right-hand side, the tech native person who probably will understand technology. Is he? So the left-hand group will say probably these guys need really help. They don't understand the slightest thing, or at least a little bit of well, the technology. They need help, a lot of service desk tickets. The right-hand guy can manage itself. But isn't that basically where Apple was really famous for? Delivering just an app, which I can download and will be installed automatically on my device. I start it up, my password will be injected and it will run. If there's an update, it will be installed automatically. And if it asks me for permissions for anything, I just allow it. So it's pretty much safe to say that that user is known to that way of working. I can control or install my apps. And I know how to run my WhatsApp, my Facebook, my TikTok, whatever I want to use. And the same thing is for work application. I know how to work inside my work application, but how do we get it there? That's complex. And then is where it gets really interesting from the tech side. At the technology side of things, we make things extremely complex, and all has its good reasons. So 60% still do have one or more Windows Server 2008 machines running. 43% are still running on Windows 7, at least with a couple of machines. On the other hand, 45% of the companies are running in the hybrid cloud. This is complex to manage. Can you imagine what it will do to the end user? Probably one of the most heard phrases I've ever heard, and I was a Citrix consultant architect for a long time, was Citrix doesn't run, Citrix doesn't work. And in how many occasions was it really Citrix? Near to never, I think. Usually it's like the Citrix receiver needs to be updated, or I don't know my password, or the setting inside my session doesn't work. That's something at Liquit we want to change. So what we do, we decouple the apps from what's going on the back end, as Chuck said. So you can have on the front end a combination of devices or any device. And then we can offer, and then in another silo, any type of application. And we can choose any backend. And that's extremely useful. So because now as IT administrators, we can mix and match our technologies locally when possible, in my own data center when required, and for the flexibility, I can even run it from the cloud or vice versa. How does it work? Let me take an example. I will show it live later, but I'll take an example for my SAP. I'm an end user. At end user, I have a laptop, a corporate-owned laptop, and I'm inside my company walls. I will open up my laptop, and for this figure of speech, I will take our portal. I go to the portal, I click on the SAP icon. Liquit will detect, well, this is a company-owned device. And you want to run the app. Well, the app isn't there. Let's first install it. Then Liquit will start the application from this directly, do the single sign-on, and the application will start. In the afternoon, the same user will go home, work from home on his corporate laptop. The user opens up his device, and Liquit will detect, wait a minute, you're working from home, or not in the office at least. Let's set up a VPN session immediately without the user knowing it. Then the user will click on the exact same icon, and now Liquit will detect, hey, there's an update for that app. First install the update, then run the application. With single sign-on, and the user can still run. The user doesn't have to think about it. It's updated in place. I'm always working in the right version with the right settings. And in the evening, the user needs to book his hours in SAP, forgot it, and is sitting on the couch using his iPad. Goes to the same portal, clicks on the exact same icon, but now Liquit brokers a Citrix session. Because there is no iPad app available, but we will install the Citrix receiver. Do the single sign-on. Launch the session. And the Citrix session, the image is created by Liquit. We've done the workspace management. We've installed the apps. We launch the app and do the single sign-on. So we manage it end to end. The parameters can constantly change within everything, but the end user will keep seeing the same thing over and over again. And now we can build cool stuff. So we're now on Citrix on-premise. We want to go to WVD in the cloud. But for the end user, nothing changes. The user keeps seeing the same icon, same location. regardless of the device and regardless of the backend. And now in IT, for the first time, we are able to create scenarios where we can do a seamless migration. And then the cool thing is, Liquit comes also with an integrated DTAP staging system. So we can address some stuff to our test users, acceptance users, all coming from one portal. An application, a setting, a small change, a big change, a new operating system. We don't have to wait any longer to upgrade our Windows 10 environment because one application isn't compatible. Now we can do it the other way around. We update Windows 10 to a new build, and the users who need to run that specific non-compatible app will be redirected into a Citrix cloud session. We can finally see the progress. We can finally make changes we always wanted. Basically, this is also what Microsoft is saying. The user experience itself is going to span all of your devices. And it's all about the apps. So Microsoft also had to made a shift from going from the start menu to an app launcher in some sort. They returned it a little bit. Basically, any platform is doing that. It's all about the apps. The end user shouldn't be bothered with what's going on the back end. And the IT admin should have the full flexibility to choose the desired technologies. So now I can select like a simple Zen app on RDS session for my task workers. But if they have a laptop and are inside the company walls, they can run locally. And my power users will go to a VDI session. And when everything goes down, because there is some sort of interruption, we can spin up Windows Virtual Desktop machines. We can create an image there, spin up those machines, and the users only will see the same icon with all the settings in it. And then we can finally go where we want to go. If there are any questions in the meantime, just let me know. While I'll go into our live demo environment.
Hi, Nico. Sorry, it's James here. I did warn you to have a mouthful of mail when somebody asked a question. My apologies if I sound muffled. Main thing people are talking about is what's the advantages? You know, what's the kind of USP that you get over using something like Citrix Workspace? So I'm assuming you're going to show us all of that sort of cool stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. There are a lot of USPs. So the first thing, probably it's a little less expensive, but that's my opinion. But I don't know. But what I came across, for instance, is like if you want to do an Okta integration with Citrix Workspace, it's going to be pretty complex. If you want to do a migration from on-premise into a new system, it's pretty complex. And I'll show you some ideas what we can build. So currently, you're looking at Liquit Workspace. If there are, by the way, any other questions that you want to pop up right now?
No, I've had a couple about that, and there was a few mentions of people asking about AppV and whether that should be a solution to consider, but I did make the point that AppV is probably pretty likely to be replaced by MSIX. So I think the Citrix Workspace and the advantages there are the main kind of thrust of the questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I agree. So we're now looking, and then I'll proceed. And if you have any further questions, just let me know. So James is the moderator, of course. I can't see the chat. We're now looking at Liquit Workspace, or one of its forms. Liquit is designed to be extremely flexible, so we take away the limitations. Therefore, we also partner with Ivanti, with Citrix, with VMware, with basically any system. We're a Microsoft partner. We think everything should be possible. So instead of tying yourself down to one system, we're open to any system. So this is how Liquit looks like. Of course, it can also be in our start menu. And I've placed my icons just for the demo environment right in here. And here you see we support app attach apps. But think of this. How cool is this workspace? Microsoft Teams. I'm seriously in Teams Online right now, and I have all my apps in here. What happened? I was logging on into Microsoft Teams, and I was single sign on into Liquit Workspace. Liquit already detects what's going on my endpoint device. What do I need to deploy, update, configure, and manage? The only thing we need is, of course, it's not even mandatory, but we need an agent in this case, and an internet connection. It also works offline, but only standard internet ports. So for our front-end agent and our back-end services, they all run over standard internet ports. No complex configurations. So if I want to manage a Windows Virtual Desktop, a Citrix Cloud session, just deploy your agent in there. It can communicate to our service, your service on-premise, so we can install it in our cloud, your cloud, on-premise, hybrid. What do I see here? Well, basically, an aggregation of any form of application. And as an end user, I know because we have some demo scenarios, there are multiple things, but I can launch any applications from here. And this is actually an AppV local installed application. And I have a ton of different like Windows 10 native applications. I can launch it from this machine. Looks pretty cool, but it can come in any form. So this is one of our partners we're working with. Office 365 look and feel portal. Same idea. And now let me launch the MSIX app of Smart FTP. I know it's a trial, but this is my workspace now. This is my complete and full workspace with every app I have. But these apps will constantly adapt to the possibilities. Or let me just show you another one. This is one that we also support. And this is another idea. It's extremely flexible. So we have an open API. We can connect to any system on the front end. Now let's see what's going on the back end, because I think that's also where a cool part is. This is our interface. And in the order of drink your own champagne, eat your own dog food, whatever, it's also managed from this portal. This is only, I'm an administrator now, but this is also how the end user looks like, but then missing the management interface. Here are all the apps again. And the easy one I showed you was the putty one. Here we deploy and run actually an AppV application. So we install the AppV 5.x. We check whether or not your AppV is enabled. So it's all workflow based. We add the package to your local system, then publish the application, and then the smart part comes. We also try to launch the local variant first, but only if it exists. So it's fully context aware. We make scenarios, if this, then that. Please do that in this scenario, and for the end users, only one icon. Here we start the normal AppV putty. And we first check whether or not it's there. And this is how we can create really cool scenarios. And I have different versions here with our integrated DTAP staging system. What do I mean with cool scenarios? Well, let me show you. I click on Paint. Goes easily to my local Paint. Let's imagine that I'm in the office on my corporate laptop. But now, in the afternoon, I go home and I'll change a little parameter. And on this one, I'll remove a folder. It's nothing fancy. Delete it. I'll go to the exact same icon. I don't even do a refresh. I click on this icon. And now I get redirected to a seamless WVD session. And now my application is here as an end user. I'm able to work. I don't have to think about it. But the IT admin is able to manage these icons with all sorts of scenarios. So this is a completely different scenario. Here we have Paint on my local device with the filter if the file exists. This is of course for a demo, but I can easily say, well, when you are at customer location A, I want to do this, or when I'm, let's make this one, not external. If I'm not external, this end and this file exists, please launch this part. Otherwise, go to the next one. Then it might be that you're having an RDP environment. And this is a dummy one. It doesn't do anything. It was all not in the production. And here you see a filter. We do this only when you're on premise and you're perhaps a task worker. And every other user will go to Paint on Windows Virtual Desktop. And yes, Liquit has created that image on Windows Virtual Desktop. And yes, we did a single sign-on from our portal into Windows Virtual Desktop. And this can also be a Citrix session with everything. We can deploy in this way any application in any form. So I'll show you one other example. I have my Excel Online. It launches pretty fast. When I say pretty fast, look at my VM. 1 CPU core, 3 GB of RAM. Our agent is extremely small and the server installation is also 6.5 megabytes. It's designed to be extremely flexible. But what happened within this scenario, so I'll do it again. This scenario actually follows a different workflow. And this was just to show you how fast Liquit is. Started off with 2016, find it on my local device. Only if you're a Windows device, and we can find this process. I don't have it. We can go into Excel for the Apple natively. So I can move from my Windows device to my iOS device and still use the same icon. Or it might be a migration scenario, use an older version. For the end user, it's only one icon. And of course, these are just plain apps. But we can create every setting around this, about managing the apps. Connect the drive mapping, easy one. Okay, but it's a bring your own device, so I need to know a credential set. So we provide you with a template using the Liquit current logged on credentials or from alternative AD domains. But only I want to allow this when, the system model equals or something. So I'll make a dummy one. We can create really tight scenarios. We can inject settings like an INI file to change the database based on location. So we are able to create, for instance, a plain application like Google Chrome with no settings in it, and upon launch we'll inject the settings. And with that, we are able to create one image, one single golden image, which we can deploy on a Citrix environment, on XenApp, Xen Desktop, Windows Virtual Desktop, and your local device. From the first time, it doesn't matter that you want to work hybrid, because the user sees this. On the back end, we manage one interface. We have one interface and we have one image. So one deployment. It can be a golden image test silo. We say, please create one image. And we connect to all those services. So the other pain point is, of course, in a new environment is, okay, but we have a customer or we have an environment, and should we destroy everything right now? No, you don't have to. We have connectors. So we're currently connected to Liquit Workspace, another environment. Liquit can sync applications, all its settings, with everything into a new environment. Also for your customers with variables. Connect to a print server, connect to Windows Virtual Desktop and our setup store, which I will use as a final. Now we're connected to Windows Virtual Desktop. I'll show you what it does. We're connected to it. Read out all the applications available, desktops and applications. I can select them and drag them into Liquit Workspace. We can do the same thing, of course, for a Citrix environment. Demo. Also Citrix Cloud, by the way. I can just fill in my storefront URL, my Netscaler URL, and if you want to do single sign-on. And of course, I want to have a dependency, Citrix Receiver or Citrix Workspace app, of course, these days. What this means, for every application we're dragging from our storefront environment into Liquit, we also make a prerequisite for the installation or check to install the latest and greatest Citrix Workspace app. But it's coming from our setup store, where we've created a template to deploy the application with the right settings of your company. You only do it once. The result is, we do the single sign-on, the endpoint is always up to date and secure, and your environment is accessible. So if you have a customer running on VMware and you want to bring it to Citrix, connect to VMware or RDS or whatever. Read it out and start building your new workspace with your smart icons, as I have here. And then we disconnected the front end into any platform, making context-aware applications and services with smart filters, which can be deployed to any system with one single image on any backend. And now we have finally the flexibility that you always wanted in your environment. And then the last thing I want to show for this demo, I can't cover it all for today. So I also wanted to ask you, if you want to learn more, please contact us. For everybody in this session, you can request a free of charge full working Liquit license to play around with. But first I'll show the setup store. We've got a setup store with 3,500 applications, which you don't have to package anymore. Cool. This is always great at the live demo. Something that doesn't work. Let me try again. It's dinner time here in the Netherlands. Somebody might be updating something. It's always awesome. I like it when these things happen.
It's the only way we know it's really live if something goes wrong.
Yeah. It is. It really is.
It's all scripted. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I can't show it right now. I'm very sorry. I don't know what it is. The connection timeout. So I think my colleagues are doing something on the demo end of our systems.
We've actually got a bunch of questions around in Nico actually, so it might be a good time to do it. I mean, we had a few questions about, is it a separate web interface? Does it integrate with Citrix Storefront? I think you've showed, that it is just integrating directly into your Storefront or your VMware connection servers or whatnot, or your Citrix Cloud. But Obviously, questions about licensing. You know, we've got a question saying, can this be cloud-based or is it on premises? But do we need to buy additional licenses to get this on top of the Citrix and VMware and cloud services and things like that?
Yeah, so you can run it from the cloud or on premise or wherever you want it to be. Basically, it's all the same installation for us. And this one is even also running a multi-tenant environment. So we've created zones. We have got like 705 tenants running under this demo environment. It's cloud-based. We can offload the storage also directly to blob storage, where agents can communicate to the blob storage instead of to the content servers. You can install it locally. You can install it hybrid. Our backend servers also run over port 443. So regardless of where they are, they can self-sync. We don't need any specific complex configurations. And I think that's the power of Liquit. And the coolest part of it all, in my perception, is everything I show you on the graphical interface is available via PowerShell or API. So you can do a desired state configuration using a PowerShell module. You don't have to use our graphical user interface. And yeah, you see this docs.liquid.com. It's open. You can simply browse it. It's not hidden. And for about the licensing question, yeah, it comes on top of the Citrix licensing. But think of this: Citrix, although I am a Citrix guy from my previous times, the licenses tend to be a bit on the pricey side. Especially if you want to go Citrix Workspace, you need to have at least a NetScaler, you need to have Zen Mobile, and you need to have basically every piece of Citrix. What if we say that you only need the Citrix Zen app standard licensing? Then use our system to manage the workspace environment and some enterprise licenses perhaps for your graphical cards. We can manage it all around. I'm extremely confident that we can save you at least, well, we can save you a lot of money. I won't say any figures. Does that answer the question, Chase?
Yep, as I said, there's people coming in via the chat thing, but that sounds good enough to me. It's also a very good question from Jo, who's obviously a fellow CTP, so I must get her question in or she'll be upset with me. When there's files created in there, sort of, you know, a user runs an Excel spreadsheet, where are they stored and what happens to that data file when they launch Excel from alternate locations based on their access scenario? You know, does it tie in with OneDrive or something like that?
You can choose. And that's the flexibility of Liquid. You can choose, and I'll try to explain how. So based on the context, like external, context, I have here my context external. I can set variables, and I can redefine the location where, for instance, my user profile, my files are located. So it can be on the Citrix environment on the file servers, and on my personal drives in my OneDrive, or basically, we can offload everything to any designated resource we want, and just in time, we will deploy the right drive mapping for you. So I don't have a drive mapping here, but I'll dummy one. So this is for the right filter. I can simply say, okay, do a drive mapping to connect drive mapping to any resource, web dev site, OneDrive. And I want to do this with a specific credential set, and I want to do that only if I meet the requirements. You can adapt on-premise, cloud, share file, mix and match. The choice is yours.
Cool. There's another question about, you know, do those icons have to be in the Liquid workspace, or can you deliver them to the desktop on the machine? You can put them down on the start menu and stuff, obviously, can't you? So I'm assuming it's
so the start menu, and of course on the desktop, and basically anywhere and in any system. So think of any system. So this is really the Microsoft Teams, and I can't show it because, as you can see, this is our real live Liquid workspace, Microsoft Teams. We use this. This is my workspace basically. When I work, this is where I start my day. So anywhere, yeah.
Just another last one there is asking about any integration with automation tools, which, given you've got an open API, I'm assuming you can do all sorts.
Yeah. So with System Center, MDT, Automation Manager, ZenWorks, Intune, we have PowerShell. We basically integrate with what you like us to integrate with. So the whole idea is like, it should be possible. A lot of vendors say, well, we don't support this. If you have VMware running in a Citrix environment, it might just work, but they don't like it. Everything should be possible on a workspace side. Yeah, we don't want to rule out any partner. So yes, and if you have a specific idea about a specific solution, just let us know. Let us see where we can take it.
Can you do this from and this is a question from me, actually, it's not in the chat. Can you do like a sort of workflow in here? Can you present an application for a user to request and then it gets authorized and that application is then delivered to them?
Yeah, so here, and this is without a workflow, but this is our App Store, and it comes with a lot of information, of course, so I'll remove one. I think the 7-zip is a pretty cool one. So remove, and I think in my catalog, I can click on it and I see all information. I can customize it, this also, I can get it. And I can also do a workflow for approval on top of this. So I can pretty much say to my 7-zip, I can define it, entitlements. I am going to be approver of this application, and I can see in my workspace or in my catalog, here it is, pending approval, rejected, and approvals. So I can do requests myself, but I can also give out approvals. And we can talk to external systems also to enhance this workflow. And on top of that, we can also say little things just to show you, like an action. When the approval is there, modify group membership. Also do it on the back end and add or remove a user to a specific security group or whatever you want to do. These are just some examples.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Yes, that's about the questions done for now.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for the questions. And now I want to hand over to my dear colleague, Bob. But once again, please feel free to reach out. We have a demo environment and a demo key for everybody available. So please feel free. And Bob, go ahead.
Thank you, Nico. Hello, everyone. I wanted to do a small wrap up. Great demo. There's so many different ways of delivering applications, and that has changed a lot over the years. In the end, you still need to take care of the apps themselves. Hope you can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
Yeah, perfect. What attracted me to Liquit is they have great technology. Their workspace product is very mature. It works in very diverse scenarios, including the usual suspects: Windows Virtual Desktop, Citrix, VMware, physical deployment of Windows 10. And we are very often focused on endpoint management, but it's in the end all about the applications, getting those apps available to users and handing them a workspace that they can recognize, that is branded as being the corporate environment, and that's where they can be productive. So that's really great about Workspace. It's agnostic by design, and it's been built by people that really know their stuff. Next to that, we have release and patch. I don't know how many times we reinvent the wheel as an IT department, figuring out again how to package an application. With a solution like release and patch, it's all done for you with curated apps. We will tell you when there's new update available. We'll tell you how to best deploy this in your specific scenario. This will save you a lot of time. You will spend 10 times less on repackaging applications. So that combined with Workspace is a great investment in your delivery infrastructure and will future-proof it. And then there's Access Manager. Getting access to applications with all the federation that's going on, with multiple sign-on options and so on, has to be transparent to the end user. In the end, the user just needs a workspace. They need to be able to add and remove apps they like, and everything just works by double-clicking on it. What happens behind the scenes is all magic for them, and that's how it should be from an IT perspective. So these are great technologies from Liquit, and that's what attracted me to join Liquit and help them with their quest to solve application management in an elegant way once and for all. Not only that, it's also a great company. The people that work there, like Nico and Chuck, are very passionate about what they're doing, and they are domain experts. So that's why I also decided to join, and Liquit will not let you down in whatever challenge you throw their way. And in the end, I love working in IT. I love building software. It's in the end all about innovation. If you cannot innovate in your IT environment, then in the end, it's not going to look great. With that comes a lot of optimism, and I think that's the best way to do innovation. And that's why I think it's worth your time to spend some cycles on evaluating this technology further. And for that, I would like to thank you. And with that, we can start our Q&A.
Excellent. There's one main question that keeps popping up in the question panel here is, apart from the one that says, can we get the slides because I want your memes, Bob? There you go. But a lot of people are asking, how do we get the demo license? How do we actually do it? Is there a link that people can go to request that?
Linda Karen, are you still on the call? Perhaps you can help us.
No, she's not. However, we can send that along to we can send that along and then include that with the recording.
Yeah, I'll be sending out a follow-up email. So if you guys want to send me that information, I can package that up with everything I send out tomorrow with the recording link and anything else you'd like to send.
Absolutely.
Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding Liquid Workspace. So my name is, of course, on the slides. You can follow me on Twitter, send me a LinkedIn message, or, of course, drop me an email. But we are here to help. I like the technology, and I also want you to like the technology.
Same here. My email works really good.
There's a bit of a question probably here for you, Nico, about geographical location latency in sort of very distributed environments. How do you go about handling that sort of stuff?
This is a cool question. Honestly, we just finished up a design for a 600K user environment across the globe. We figured out a lot of things for latency and performance. Basically, we are able to use multi-zone technologies and sync out all our apps within a couple of seconds to sync all the settings over there. So there is not a lot of latency. This is a proof design. Of course, I can share the design ideas with one asking, because now we're getting to get a little bit technical, but we can set up a multi-zone environment which is managed centralized, but also their own geographical zones do have their own configurations available, and there all the settings are synced into. So performance is not an issue.
On top of that, we can also detect what the context is of that specific endpoint or user and make the best choice on how to best offer the application just in time when the user requests the application.
Would that have any additional cost attached to it as well? That's just a question I'm being asked.
No. So think of this, we also got satellite servers and data repositories for on-premise or low bandwidth locations. So you can sync out application once to a location or data center or remote branch office. And we have a satellite server available where you can pick the data from. We even do that for a shipping company, which will run into the harbor, but they can't update their systems over there. And if they want to update their systems in the mid of the sea, they need the bandwidth, which is really expensive. So what they do, they go into the harbor, which is prime time to offload and load cargo. They go back into the sea when the ships are mid-seas, will update their environments, but it's all cached. So they sync once using cheap data, and then when the time is ready, we'll update their systems mid-seas. So these are all options you can create with Liquid.
I noticed in there as well that you've got things like doing drive mappings and printer mappings and things like that. And I mean, I know that you said earlier on that you're partnered up with the likes of Ivanti and that. Does that sort of stuff actually replace any of the kind of Ivanti tool sets that they have in there, or is it intended just to be there for people who aren't already, in bed with the likes of Ivanti?
There's so many ways to offer. There's so many ways to offer printers and mappings. It's a very basic capability, and it should be done as much as possible for the application. So it is definitely part of application management, and there are like 10 different ways of getting there. And we prefer to do it the most easy way, which is to use a proper application management solution.
Fair enough.
I think I like the answer. Political correct.
Obviously, the question that comes up a lot as well is talking security, right? So, I mean, is this like validated for various sort of security sort of levels and things like that? And can we integrate with multi-factor authentication, identity providers and all that sort of stuff?
So Liquid can be an identity provider even itself. We have an access management solution. So we can be an identity provider for SAML and OAuth systems. We integrate with Okta, we integrate with Thales SafeNet, we integrate with Azure AD, we can do a multi-factor authentication on our own services. And just to give you an idea, Liquit is running at high valued, high secure environments across the globe. But one of the things that pops to my mind is like the Dutch Justice Department, which we are using it, and I can't tell too much about that, of course, but they are running it. We run it for various banks and governmental stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, the other thing to mention is the whole issue around zero-day vulnerabilities. And often when there is a patch, it still takes a lot of customers, in my opinion, way too much time to get that patch out to all the endpoints. And this is also where Liquit helps tremendously to basically bridge that gap and make it as small as possible between the time a patch is released and the time it will get to your endpoint through proper updates of the applications.
So how much actual, I mean, say you wanted to, I'm probably talking from my own personal point of view again here, if you wanted to set this up in a lab environment or something like that, or a small proof of concept, is it pretty simple to get it up and running?
Takes me 10 minutes, and that says something because I'm atechnical when it comes to web servers and anything. So it's really simple to do. It's
extremely simple. I promise you. So basically go to docs.liquit.com, see the installation manual. It's over there, you can see it. It will take you more than an hour, and we need to have a serious talk.
Yeah, just contact us because then there's something wrong.
Excellent. I think that's it for the questions that I had out there. I've got quite a lot of people saying, you know, it looks really powerful and they want to have a try of it. So I guess that's all good news from your point of view. But I think that's covered them right out there.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the time that we've got to speak, and I hope everybody enjoyed the session, of course.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you guys. That was really great. I just have one last slide because I know some of you, make sure I'm showing the right window. Yep, there it is. I know some of you might have opted in for a chance to win the Bluetooth speaker. So what I'll do is I'll pull the attendee report as soon as the webinar is over, because some of you might have registered after we started, and everyone should get a fair shot, right? So I'll pull that report and we'll pick a number at random. I usually use Google Randomizer. It works great. And I will email the person who wins, and we'll announce the winner on Twitter. So be sure to keep an eye out on Twitter for the winner. And other than that, I just want to thank you guys for joining us today. It was a great presentation, a new product I'd never seen before, so it was great to see what it does. Thank you, James, for keeping an eye on all those questions. It was really great discussion today.
It was very lively for a change. I didn't have to throw in too many questions of my own, which is always a good sign.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Have a great week, and see you next time.
Have a great afternoon and evening, wherever you are. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.